Just do it.
They had no leader. Her father was dead, and their current laird of war was a drunkard who was not even within the castle walls, for he'd been spending his nights in the village since her father's passing. Her brother had not yet returned from the continent. They had only their steward, Gordon McEwen, who was a brilliant manager of books and numbers, but no warrior.
"Is your weapon loaded?"
she asked the flustered clansman.
"Do you have enough powder?"
"Aye."
"Then take aim and defend the gate."
He hurried into position, while she looked out over the bailey below, where her clansmen were finally assembling in answer to the call. Torches had been lit, but everyone was shouting in confusion, asking too many questions.
"McEwens, hear me now,"
she shouted.
"An army is approaching from the east. We will soon be under attack. Arm yourselves and man the battlements."
Only in the hush of that moment, as all eyes turned toward her, did she realize that she was still wearing her dressing gown.
"You there,"
she pointed at a boy.
"Arm yourself with a sword. Assemble all the women and children. Take them to the chapel. Bar the doors, and stay with them until the battle is ended."
The boy nodded bravely and dashed off to the armory.
"They are MacDonald's,"
a guard shouted from the opposite corner tower. It was Douglas McEwen, a good friend and able swordsman. Gwendolen gathered her shift in her hands and ran to meet him.
"Are you certain?"
"Aye, look there."
He pointed across the field, now shimmering with mist and morning dew.
"They carry the banner of Angus the Lion."
Gwendolen had heard tales of Angus MacDonald, forsaken son of the fallen MacDonald chief, who had once been laird of Kinloch. He had been a Jacobite traitor, however, which was why the king granted her father letters of fire and sword, which had awarded him the right to take the castle in service to the crown. There were whispers that Angus was the infamous Butcher of the Highlands, a renegade Jacobite who hacked entire English armies to pieces with his legendary battle-axe. Others said he was nothing but a treacherous villain, who was banished to the north by his own father for some secret, unspeakable crime. Either way, he was reputed to be a fierce and ruthless warrior, faster and more ferocious than a phantom beast on the battlefield. Some even said he was invincible. This much was true at least. He was an expert swordsman. He showed no mercy to warriors and women alike.
"What in God's name is that?"
She leaned forward and squinted, as a terrible sense of foreboding poured through her. Douglas strained to see clearly through the mist. Then his face went pale.
"It's a catapult, and their horses are pulling a battering ram."
She could hear the heavy, muted thunder of their approach, and her heart turned over in her chest.
"You are in charge here until I return," she told him. "You must defend the gate, Douglas, at all costs."
He nodded silently. She patted him on the arm with encouragement, then hurried back to the tower stairs. Seconds later, she was pushing through the door to her bedchamber. Her maid was waiting uneasily by the bed. Gwendolen spoke without flinching.
"We are under attack,"
she said.
"There isn't much time. You must help gather the women and children, go straight to the chapel, and stay there until it is over." "Aye, Miss McEwen."
The maid hastened from the room. Closing the door behind her, Gwendolen quickly tore off her robe and dropped it, without a care, onto the braided rug. She hurried to the wardrobe to find clothes. Just then, a sudden, violent pounding began at her door, as if an animal were bucking up against it.
"Gwendolen! Gwendolen! Are you awake?"
She halted in her tracks. Oh, if only she were asleep, and this was still the dream, playing tricks on her mind. But the sound of alarm in her mother's voice quashed that possibility. She hurried to answer the door.
"Come inside, Mother. We are under attack." "Are you certain?"
Honora looked as if she had already taken the time to dress for the event. Her long curly hair was combed into a hasty but elegant twist, and she was wearing a crisp new gown of blue and white silk.
"I heard the horn, but thought surely it must be a false alarm." "It isn't."
Gwendolen returned to the wardrobe and pulled a skirt on over her shift.
"The MacDonalds are storming the gates as we speak."